Joining us now with reaction, author of Trump and the American Future, Solving the Great Problems of Our Time, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. All right, this is not our first rodeo. I was your MC the night you became Speaker in 1994. We've known each other before then. I was on the radio when Ronald Reagan was president, so that tells you how far back I go. Donald Trump is a unique political figure. Bibi Netanyahu, I think there's some similarities here. These are not conventional politicians that poll well. So, to me, I'm telling everybody, act as though you're behind and think that your vote puts it over the top. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, a good friend of mine, Steve Ettenheim, down in Florida, was telling me all day today, the turnout in Florida, the first day when you can actually vote in person. The Republican turnout has been enormous in Florida today, much bigger than anybody expected. The president's had huge crowds, just had a big rally in Arizona, going to a second rally in Arizona. So, Joe Biden hides this is exactly like Hillary Clinton. Biden hides for 4 days, giving President Trump an open field to go out and be with real people in large crowds, turning out the vote, getting people excited. But what struck me, Sean, is, and I don't ever remember this happening before, we have 3 parallel scandals involving Joe Biden. First of all, we have the pure corruption scandal with things like the $70 million the Chinese gave to the University of Pennsylvania, which means Biden probably, we don't know because it's all secret, he was probably on the payroll of the Chinese dictatorship. Second, so you have that whole scandal, the Hunter Biden thing, which is much bigger than Ukraine. Second, you have the scandal of Biden and the news media colluding to avoid having to answer anything. And third, you have the scandal of Twitter and Facebook behaving as though they were Chinese communists and deciding that they will censor the American people. Now, to have those 3 scandals 2 weeks before an election I've never seen anything like it, and is a fundamental assault on the integrity of the American system.
Look, you've got 99%, the media mob is against Donald Trump. You've got big tech, they're against Donald Trump. The Democratic Party, they hate Donald Trump every second, minute, hour of every day. You've got establishment rhino Republicans, they hate Donald Trump. What made the difference in 2016, and it's hard for any Republican to win the presidency, you got to basically run the table when you start out without New York, New Jersey, Illinois, California, Washington, and Oregon. So you got to run the table. Got to win Florida. You got to win Georgia. You got to win North Carolina. You got to win Ohio. You got to win Iowa. You got to win Arizona. You got to then pick off another state. It's hard. How do you see this election going, and how do you assess the president with a lot of these states, at least on paper, that close?
Well, look, I think that, first of all, I think Biden's going to implode in the next 2 weeks as people realize the depth of personal corruption that the Bidens are engaged in. We're talking here about hundreds of millions of dollars. It has taken enormous discipline for the Washington Post, the New York Times, NBC News to avoid doing their job. I mean, they have sitting here one of the most amazing corruption stories in history, and every single one of them is walking past it as though it doesn't exist. But the country's going to know about it. Every time the president speaks, he reminds people of it. You just had Senator Ron Johnson, who's done a great job. His report, 87 pages, is available online. Every one of our listeners and viewers can go online and download that report. I read it. It is staggering. So I believe Trump. Yeah, I think Trump will win. I think he'll win by a surprising margin, because I think virtually every late decider is going to look at the stench. And it's stench. When you realize, Hunter Biden was going around the planet selling the vice president of the United States. He did it in Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Russia, Romania, China. I mean, just shamelessly. He also said some things. I mean, if we had any kind of decent moderator Thursday night, they would raise us. We don't. We have a hard left, pro-Democrat as usual. We should abolish the debate commission, which is a travesty. But if she had any integrity at all, she would ask Biden, gee, when Hunter wrote one of his children I'm not going to make you split half your income with me the way Dad does.
Mr. Speaker,
What do you think?
yeah, okay. Joe hid half the month of September, called a lid on things at 9 o'clock in the morning. Now he's taken off another 4 days. He only worked Sunday, one campaign stop, but was off Saturday.
Right.
I look at him, and he looks like a shadow of his former self. He looks weak, he looks frail, and we all know that he's struggling cognitively. Everybody that I meet says it to me. Now, the media is hiding this and protecting him. To me, this might be a national security danger on top of the corruption that is ultimately going to come out in full force eventually. Thoughts?
Well, just take the one example I gave you. If the Chinese communists gave the University of Pennsylvania $70 million, how much of it got to Joe Biden? To what degree for the last 4 years has he been on the payroll of Beijing? Now, we have no idea because none of the information is released. It's all secret. And do you see the New York Times or the Washington Post or NBC News begging them to open it up, filing a FOIA request, charging that this is all wrong? Of course not. Everybody in the mainstream media is in the tank. They are so desperate to elect Biden and so desperate to defeat Trump, they couldn't care what happens. They're not going to cover it. And that's why, frankly, Fox News, your radio show, Rush Limbaugh, all the other outlets become really, really important.
All right, Mr. Speaker, thank you. We appreciate you being with us, as always.